Hey there, Becca. I just read your essay entitled Editha Almost Feminist, and I'm still mulling it over. I love that you have so much source support in your piece, just so much commentary in here. It shows a lot of work on your part. But because the thesis isn't super clear, um, it's kind of hard to see how you support your claims. So let's just look at this together. Editha by William Dean Howells tends to be read as a story about the glorification of war, but it also shows how, from a feminist point of view, to not gain power. I think that's very clever and very fun. So it shows how to not get power. Through the short story, there's a power struggle shown between Editha, her body, George, Mrs. Garrison, and views on war itself. Um, that's a long list for your power struggle, but then you say, despite struggling for power, Editha never quite gains that power over her body or her beliefs. So the concern here is a couple things. One is you talk about she never gains control over her body. So I'm looking at that as your first point, right? Or her beliefs, but you've just now bypassed George and Mrs. Gearson. So kind of awkward sentence placement together, those two things. Um, and then and then you're just saying she doesn't quite ever gain power. So um, it's not a very clear thesis. Um, and then the points, all of your topic sentences should tell the story of your thesis. They should just lay them out, but they don't really. So look at this. So we're looking at, despite struggling for power, Editha never quite gains that power over her body or beliefs. So the first topic sentence should say, Editha tries to gain power over her body, but is unsuccessful because of X, Y, and Z, right? I mean, that's where we should be in this paragraph, because that's what you've presented in your thesis. But instead, you say most young women grow up believing that they have to be perfect in form. Um, but so you just talk about she's learned self-denial. She's kind of starved herself. She's willing to give him her lemonade. Um, she's a gorgeous flower to him. And then she's able to give him up. So you're kind of going off of Editha specifically struggling for power over her body. It's just kind of moved on. And so I want you to work really hard in your next essay on really clear topic sentences that you then defend, with ample source support. You show, you defend your claims and provide analysis to show your claims and show why they're right. But this just kind of moves from body to George. She wants to love him, but she's been molded, so she'll first give up everything dear. Self-denial is taught early on. She's more willing to give of herself, even if it's not returned. It's just kind of, it goes off. It doesn't stay centered on a main claim, and it doesn't make a clear claim in that paragraph. And then you say, for any relationship to truly work, it has to be based on the people within it. But again, we're looking at your thesis, which is, despite struggling for power, she never quite gains that power over her body or her beliefs. So I'm looking for you to keep developing the thing about power over her body or power over her beliefs, and that's not in this thesis. Um, now you're talking about her with George, and then let's look at your next one. Howells portrays Mrs. Kirsten as having some significant differing opinions in comparison to Editha. True, but how is this Editha battling to overcome um, her beliefs or gain power over her beliefs? So you're taking us to a whole bunch of different places in this essay that aren't thesis centered. So it just is kind of difficult to score this piece because of that concern. So even though there's really interesting content in here, there isn't a main claim I could walk away with. So that's the biggest concern. So I'm looking for clearer organization in your next piece. Really clear topic sentences stemming from the thesis with very well developed paragraphs, and just making things really unified so that you're making one central claim. You're answering one central question in your thesis. And as you do that, I know that you can do beautiful things.